Assalamualaikum. In the name of Allah the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed thine exalted Christ. I furthermore indeed bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our divine reminder, leader, teacher, and guide, the Messiah today. I greet you all in the nation greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah. On behalf of Brother Albert Muhammad and the Let Us Make Man family, as always, family, we continuously thank you for your support. We thank you for taking a few moments of your time to watch the videos, read our posts, support our cause, our efforts in the plight of the Black community. We can never thank you enough. In light of the post that we presented or wrote or post in regards to our beloved sister, India Arie, we want to talk to Black women. So this is a message to Black women. And this message doesn't come from me, Brother Albert Muhammad, not by a long shot. This message that I'm going to share is literally a message to Black men who's really responsible for the current condition and the state and the mindset of Black women in 2023. And we're going to utilize that great book, which I consider my Bible, The Message to the Black Man, pages 58. When the messenger of Allah talked not only about Black women, but he also talked about protect and elevate your women or your woman on page 59, second paragraph. And so, but before I get started, I just simply want to say I put a post up a few days ago saluting what I consider as angels. We don't know when we see an angel. An angel doesn't always have to be the most popular person that everybody knows or hears about and they gravitate to that person. An angel can be small as an ant in one sense. Someone you never really think much of. So in recognizing my beloved brother James Hunter and his beautiful wife Tabitha Hunter, I sent them an original salute because it was that husband and wife team who is of the Christian faith that actually inspired myself to embark on social media with the Let Us Make Man family, starting with phone calls, et cetera, to the point where we at now. And I wanted to make mention of that divine couple that was sent to me when I came to the city of Youngstown, Ohio, leaving Jersey, not knowing nothing about Ohio. And it was that couple that inspired your little brother, that I had some sort of talent or gift to offer based on the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So original salute once again to Brother James and Sister Tabitha, and always to my nephew who's always checking his uncle out. Wuda, love you, nephew. Thank you for your support. Know that I pay attention. All right, let's get busy. In light of the post that we presented the other day, I came across a concern of our sister India Arie, and I actually watched the video of India Arie expressing her thoughts about the state of Black women and the mindset of Black women and their conduct today for popularity, for attention, for fame, and for fortune, and for money, and the degrading of themselves for acknowledgement, etc., etc., etc. When I listened to my sister, this was the actually first time I didn't really get the chance to watch. I saw some of the video that she was referring to. I wasn't too interested in watching none of the whole thing. I mean, you see it so much, it's like it's redundant now. You know what I'm saying? And she was referring to the popular sisters that's actually out there, quote unquote famous stars who decide that twerking, which is a form of dancing, gyrating, moving the hips, and even quote unquote dropping low, is a way to get national attention, fame, and fortune. And so this is what our dear sister India Arie was addressing and speaking on, that particular situation with the sisters that she mentioned. I don't remember I know who she's talking about, but that's not even important. And so what we want to do is go into this great book of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And let me just say this, family, for those of us who believe or think that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is irrelevant today, or the Nation of Islam is not effective today, is irrelevant today, or is not relevant, it doesn't carry any weight, you're sadly mistaken. Because nowadays there's people all over the globe, and you will hear some of this in this book that I'm about to read, from A Message to the Black Man, page 58, The Black Woman. Mr. Muhammad says, the woman is man's field to produce his nation. If he does not keep the enemy out of his field, he won't produce a good nation. Our women are just not sexual objects or something to just be able to go up in and enjoy for the moment and then move on. So let's listen to what Mr. Muhammad is saying. He said, for example, he's using certain examples for us to understand the value and the importance of our women, and how we should value our women the same as we value the food that we eat and the food that we grow. Mr. Muhammad says, if we love our vegetable crops, we will go out and turn up the leaves on that vegetable stalk and look carefully for worms that are eating and destroying the vegetables. If you're a farmer and you plant food, you're gonna go all out to make sure that crop grows. That way you can profit it and sustain yourself off your crop. And so this is what you would do. And Mr. Muhammad says, and you go look up under that stalk carefully for worms that are eating and destroying the vegetables. We will kill that worm, right? So if you see something eating away at what you're trying to produce, you would destroy that to preserve your crop. Mr. Muhammad is giving us some sort of example to how we should value black women. Now remember, this book been around for many years. Pardon me. This book here, Message to the Black Man. If you don't have this book in your library, black man and black woman, my humble suggestion would be to invest in this book, where you can go anywhere on the internet and find it, or go to store.finalcall.com. Order you a copy of The Message to the Black Man and dig into it and check it out if that's the language you want to use. Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, again, we will go out into the cotton field, using the cotton field now, and look for the enemies of our cotton and try to kill that enemy. Is that right? We study poisons and chemicals of the earth, and we pour these chemicals on the enemies of our crops to keep the enemies from destroying them, right? This is what we do to protect our crop. from pesticides or whatever they coming up with today. We love a crop that we can produce every year, every season, so well that we will kill every enemy that we find seeking to destroy it. That's how much we value the crop, the property that we put out, that we're trying to produce, whether it's cotton, vegetables, or whatever it is that we're investing in. So Mr. Muhammad is trying to give us an example of how we should value black women. Just imagine if our people back then, when this great book came out and when Mr. Muhammad, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, started teaching from 1934 up until 1975, imagine where the mindset of black women and black men would be today. Do you think that we would be all over social media gyrating, all over social media, disrobing ourselves, lambasting our women? Some DJ attacked our sister, I believe it was Erykah Badu, viciously. No remorse, no empathy, no sympathy. Where did that mindset come from among black people today? Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, we will even kill one another if we find the other one out there trying to steal that crop. He's still using the example of growing your crop and protecting what you invest in. And if you find somebody trying to steal from you, you would kill that person. This is what Mr. Muhammad is teaching us in the Message to the Black Man, page 58, the black woman. Now, mind you, family, this is not a message that is degrading black women or like downplaying black women. No, this is a message to the black man. So Mr. Muhammad is saying to the black man at this point in time, this is where we should be. Now, mind you, when this book was originally put out, and today, 2023, you calculate, you do the math, right? And so with that being said, Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, is not your woman more valuable than that crop of corn, that crop of cotton, that crop of cabbage, potatoes, beans, tomatoes? You should keep the enemies from destroying the crop. So Mr. Muhammad is saying to the black man, is not your woman more valuable than diamonds and pearls? And my brother here, MX Walker, wrote, the rap lyrics help to destroy the young minds today. It promotes the wrong attitude in young, misguided youth. Thank you so much, dear brother, who wrote that, MX Walker. Because this is what Mr. Muhammad is literally saying. What he just wrote on that comment. I'm sorry, sis. May Allah forgive me. But what she just wrote on that comment speaks value to what Mr. Muhammad is saying about how we should value the black woman. We should value the black woman to this day, that anyone that attacks or try to destroy black women, we should be willing to kill. If we love black women enough, we wonder why black women disrespect black men so openly. They don't feel protected at all. They don't feel no value or no importance. When we downgrade and downplay our women, that does not apply to every black man on the planet. Let's be clear. There's a great percent of black men that soldier for black women. So don't make it seem like this is a direct attack on black women. Black men. All I'm doing, family, is sharing with you what Mr. Muhammad gave to the black man in the Message to the Black Man, page 58 and 59, the black woman. right? We need to love brothers also. Yes, ma'am, D. Yes, indeed. Yes, ma'am. Sister is on this today. Thank you, sis, for your support. Because it means so much to have the support of the people when we're striving to put these words out. But Mr. Muhammad said, it is not your woman more valuable than the crop of corn, the crop of cotton, the crop of cabbage, potatoes, beans, tomatoes? How much more valuable is your woman than those crops that you should keep the enemies from destroying the crops? Yet you are not careful about your women. So if our women are really valuable to us, the rap industry and the producers of that style of art today should be destroyed. I'm not saying to go out and physically attack someone. No, sir, we're wiser than that. We can destroy them by lack of promoting and supporting the ignorance. So every time you go on YouTube or Twitter, Instagram, and you click on that garbage, you're supporting it. All these so-called podcasts like Drink Champs and things like that, the more you click on that, the more you're supporting the degrading of not only black women, but black people as a whole. Master Farah Muhammad traveled 9,000 miles seeking and searching for that which was and is still lost in the wilderness of North America. And he came to give us knowledge of self, our culture, our God, our religion. And so, therefore, we should be striving to eliminate anything that's within our circumference, so to speak, with pure negativity. I'm just saying, family. So if we look at these sisters that India Arie is blazing, and India Arie is 100% correct. Just keeping it. You don't have to like what she said or to like the style that she said it in. Well, hell, if it wasn't happening, she wouldn't have to be speaking on it. But at least she had enough of heart to speak on it and address it, because this twerking thing is out of control, family. I put a video up right behind that post. There was a brother and his daughter couldn't have been no more than 4 or 5, give or take, just twerking her little self away. And he walked past and popped her. Now he's getting backlash. Should he had a popped her? That's not for me. That's not my decision to make. That was his decision. He responded how he thought at that point in time. How would have responded? I can't answer that question because I'm not in that situation at this point in time. But I will say this. This is why it's important that we attack the system that creates that mindset for now, even our babies, to think that twerking will get you somewhere at 4 and 5 and 6 years old. But what can you expect from a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old is if all they're exposed to is auntie, mommy, grandma, great grandma, great great grandma twerking in 2023 at parties for children. Some people throw children for parties that's really for adults, but they try to justify it by saying it's for the child. And they flaunt their little stuff all over the place. And the children picks up on it. And when we're not paying attention to what the children is surfing on the internet, they're learning stuff that you and I are not even realizing what they're being exposed to because we don't pay enough attention. So I wanted to speak to that video clip that I did post about the brother that spanked or tapped his daughter. I don't have no decision on that or judgment on that. But at the end of the day, we can speak to what created the atmosphere for that baby to feel comfortable with twerking at 4 or 5 years old. And you tell me twerking ain't out of control, which speaks value to India Arie's point and what she was saying in that video. And it is a little raunchy and nasty, especially when you disrobe yourself and gyrate your body all over a stage that's filthy and dirty. Let's read what Mr. Muhammad says about the black woman in the message to the black man. I want you to get this point this evening or this afternoon. Mr. Muhammad says, it is because you have allowed visitors, right, to run in and out of your house. Thus, they have destroyed your love for your woman, and your woman has not the love for you that she should. So when we allow, according to what Mr. Muhammad said, the reason why some of these things are happening in regards to the black woman and the message to the black man is we have allowed visitors to run in and out of our houses. Thus, they have destroyed our love for our women, and our women has not the love for you that she should. That is a good sign. Until we learn to love and protect our woman, we will never be a fit and recognized people on the earth. Speaks to what I was just literally saying. The reason why black men and black women are countering and lack of love for each other. If we have made black women feel unprotected, and I'm gonna say this again, what I'm saying doesn't apply to all black men, but we have to take some accountability for what's going on in this society today among our people with this twerking stuff. Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, the brown man will never recognize you until you protect your woman. The yellow man will never recognize you until you protect your woman. The white man will never recognize you until you protect your woman. You and I may go to Harvard, we may go to York or England, or go to Al-Azhar in Cairo and get degrees from all these great seats of learning, but we will never be recognized until we recognize our women. And then you wonder why, if you listen to black women today, not all, a great percent, they have no love for black marriages and black relationships. You understand what I'm trying to say? There's a great percent of black women that has given up. Some of them are in religious groups who swear to God they self-righteous, but can't stand to receive instructions from a black man because she doesn't feel that he has provided her with enough protection to feel comfortable. See, Mr. Muhammad says we can go to Harvard and York and England, but the brown man, the yellow man, and the white man, the red man, none of these people or nations or groups of nations will respect us until we respect our women. And so whenever you tap into some of these podcasts and you hear them blatantly disrespecting black women, even if the black woman is wrong, man, that doesn't mean you just go all out on it, disrespecting. I know brothers and sisters, God bless the dead, that fell in love with our dear brother Kevin Samuels. I've watched and studied his art and his techniques. Though he presented some valuable points when it came to the different conversations he was having with the black women that would actually call in to his show. But what I grapple with was the lack of compassion to the state of black women and how they became, speaking of the percent that falls in that category, the way that they are. We can lambaste and we can badger them and beat them to death with their conduct and their characteristics, they lack of discipline. We can go all out on them. That doesn't solve the problem, family. That's why Allah came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi, and raised the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then the two of them provided us with a divine blessing, a divine extension, a reminder, a Messiah today in our presence, living in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You have never heard Minister Farrakhan degrade black women under any circumstances, even if they was dead to the wrong. He has never done it. As a matter of fact, he has extended more moral support and love for black women than any of our so-called black elite today or speakers today. And that's because Minister Farrakhan was raised by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, our risen Christ. So in what our brother Kevin Samuel was doing, making valuable points, arguments was solid in a lot, but it was also degrading at the same time. It wasn't uplifting. So you can like beat somebody, then like, heal them up, patch them up, fix them up, if you're going to really go at it like that. But to just degrade indirectly and sometimes directly, like belligerently, like literally belligerently. But many of our people, some Muslims, a lot of us, them fell in love with it. I just for whatever reasons, I had to stick by what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gives us. And what the messenger of Allah is saying in this great book, Message to the Black Man, page 58, the black woman. So I have to stick by that. I can't knock black women for what they do, even if you get the hardest of the hardest time with them. Mr. Muhammad teaches us how to deal with that as well. So it is what it is when it's all said and done. Listen to what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said in closing on page 58. I'm closing with the last paragraph on page 58. Listen to this clearly. Mr. Muhammad says, on visiting with a couple of my sons in what they call the Near East in 1959, count it up. For all of those who think the most honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't know nothing about the East, and it wasn't only until Malcolm went to the East and he saw white Muslims. Listen, if you underestimate the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you're sadly mistaken. He just didn't go for it. Listen to what Mr. Muhammad said. On visiting with a couple of my sons in what they call the Near East in 1959, I began in Turkey. We traveled from Turkey down to Africa, to Ethiopia and the Sudan. We visit Arabia, Mecca and Medina, and we visit Pakistan. We returned home from Lahore, Pakistan, and about the 6th of January, 1960, we didn't even find on that entire tour such a thing as not recognizing the black woman. See, Mr. Muhammad said that when he and his sons visit these nations, Ethiopia, Sudan, Turkey, Arabia, Mecca, Medina, Pakistan, he didn't even find on that entire tour such a thing as not recognizing the black woman. The level of respect was so supreme in these countries when it came to the black woman. Now, most of us ain't been far as our doorstep. If you go and pull up Farrakhan World's Friendship Tours, you will see the love that these same countries that Mr. Muhammad visited in 1959 to 1960, right? Where where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan revisited those same countries, and they showed him the same love, if not greater. I'm just saying. Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, everywhere we went, the black man recognized his woman. He had great respect for her. Everywhere they went on that tour. This is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad talking. The black man had great respect for his woman. You couldn't go in some of these countries and just wash your little nasty self around, disrobe yourself, and call yourself twerking. God knows what the end results of it will be depending on what country you really in. See? God knows what the end results will be, but at the end of the day, anything and everything goes on the shores of America. And that's why we think we have so much freedom to do whatever we want. And some of us travel with that mindset to this day until they get into the wrong country. And when they get into the wrong country, reality checks in. You're no longer in America. You're here, wherever they may be at that point in time. The rules to the games has changed. Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, again, everywhere we went, the black man recognized his woman. He had great respect for her. We dined in many of the top homes. We dined with some of the most influential people of these countries, government people. In some of their homes, we never did see any of their family, only men. You hear me? Only men. Men were doing the service to the guests. Women wasn't disrobing themselves. They respect their culture, the way they come up, but they were raised that way from my youth, from as a child. And that's why a lot of women today, particularly black women, can't stand Islam, because they think that Islam is there to control them, dictate to them, boss them around, because they get false teachings and false prophets in Islam, false messengers start spreading all kinds of false information, and we don't take a moment to go and research, and we move on face value. And fortunately, our people fall in the category of the 85%. Who is the 85%? Poison animal eaters, slaves from mental, death, and power, easily led in the wrong direction and hard to be led in the right. That's just a portion of it, but a critical portion of it, because you can easily lead our people in the wrong direction, then it's hard as hell to bring them back once they're gone. Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, the waiter was a man or boy, not any woman. My beloved brothers in America, you have lost the respect for your woman, and therefore you have lost the respect for yourself. You won't protect her, therefore you can't protect yourself. So we have lost the respect for black women, but this has been years on now. And it's gotten so bad that there's a great percent of black women that don't even value black men no more, or our so-called knowledge. Most of them have more than what we have, and they let you know. what you gonna tell me? What you gonna do for me? Because they have more. But it's not so much as that. They lost the respect for black men because black man has lost the respect for himself. Because we have fallen short of the glory of God when it comes to the protecting of our women. When guests come and our places of meetings, homes, some of our women and wives are just all out in the open. It's not about control, man. That's not what we're saying. But there's a level of respect that has to be implemented, and the woman has to understand that. Especially if you're a married woman, Islam or not, Christianity or not. Well, hell, the Christians had the same path. The women of that day wasn't loose. They had their Jezebels here and there. But they were covered 3/4, head to toe. And they represented their husband as the book of Proverbs, the 31st book of Proverbs spoke to them. If you look it up. In any event, Mr. Muhammad says, she is your first nurse. She is your teacher. Your first lesson comes from your mother. If you don't respect your mother, how do you think you look in the eyes of other fellow human beings? And this is something that black women has to understand as well. You are the first teacher of the child, regardless to how hard the father may strive to play a role. You are the first nurse of the child. So the child is attached to the mother. I don't give a damn how much time the father puts in. The child is still attached to the mother. And so as a mother, there's a great responsibility. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that 75% of his work is with the woman. That's a lot. That's a lot. 75%? Do you know how much pressure that is? Do you have a clue how much work and responsibility and what sort of burden that literally puts on the woman that is actually striving to carry out that 75% of Mr. Muhammad's work? It's easier to say it and let it roll off your tongue. It's something different when you're striving to carry it into practice. Think about what I'm saying. We're going to go on and we're going to finish page number 59. Message to the black man. Let me hold this book up again. This is the greatest book on the planet for the black man and the black woman. This is our escape from the great war, Armageddon, that's already in motion. This is our guide, if we would only but just give it a chance. Store.finalcall.com. Don't buy one, don't buy two, buy as many as you could and give it to your community. It is not something to take lightly. What's in that book, believe me, it takes a heart to start speaking on that. Because as Jesus said, men will turn against you and seek to destroy and kill you for my name's sake. Because what Jesus was teaching was pure truth. And whenever you're standing on truth, you develop enemies, internal and external. Protect and elevate your woman. Mr. Muhammad says, Allah himself has said that we cannot return to our land until we have a through knowledge of ourselves. Right? Protect and elevate your woman. Now, this may be a little interesting, more so, because there's some instructions in this portion. Mr. Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, Allah himself has said that we cannot return to our land until we have a true knowledge of self. This first step is the control and protection of our women. The control and the protection of our women. Now, you heard me say earlier, it's not about control. But Mr. Muhammad said, in this part, this first step is the control and protection of our women. Now, how we take that is something different. Because some of us are sick, man, and you can't give them authority. Because authority without through knowledge will lead into self-destruction. So Mr. Muhammad said, there is no nation on earth that has less respect for and as little control of their woman as the so-called Negroes here in America. There's no nation on earth that has less respect and as little control of their woman as we so-called Negroes here in America. Even animals and beasts, the fowls of the air, have more love and respect for their females than have the so-called Negroes in America. Why is that? Why is it that black men have no respect and no control of their woman? Well, you can't control something that you don't have respect for. And no woman would ever bow or respect a man that does not put God at the forefront. How do we expect a woman to respect and appreciate us as their protector, their sole controller, their sustainer, if God is not at the forefront of our lives as the men that we say we are? Interesting. Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, our women are allowed to walk or ride the streets all night long with any strange men they desire. They are allowed to frequent any tavern or dance hall that they like. Whenever they like, they are allowed to fill our homes with children other than our own. These are the things that our women like to do and do freely because there is no control from the black man of our women. So she does what she chooses. Mr. Muhammad said, and even fill our homes with children that's not even ours. What does that say? Mr. Muhammad goes on to say, children that are often fathered by the very devil himself. Then, when the devil man decides to marry her, the so-called Negro press and magazines will make it front page news. The daily press will not print a so-called Negro man marrying into their race, but you seem to think it is an honor to your own nation when your daughter goes over to your enemies. You see, this psychological thing that black men and women are going through in America is we love our open enemies so much and value them so much that we deprive ourselves of our natural nature as being one with God. And we put them over ourselves. As Mr. Muhammad said, when one marries into us, or he decides to marry you after being with you for so long, our local newspapers or whatever we have going on, we make that front page. But not their press. They're not going to put that on the front page of their papers, the Herald and all that, at that time, because they don't want to support the ideal of one of us marrying into their culture or their households or marrying their woman, even though we do it freely today. It's nothing. Some of us will even try to justify it as we do it. And, it is what it is. Mr. Muhammad says, our women have been and are still being used by the devil, white race, ever since we were first brought here to these states as slaves. They cannot go without being winked at, whistled at, yelled at, slapped, patted, kicked, and driven around in the streets by your devil enemies right under your nose, yet you do nothing about it, nor do you even protest. So we have allowed these things to transpire. And as Mr. Muhammad said, we honor it. But you think that if we decide to wink at one of them, we're not going to pay the price? Young Emmett Till and the many black youth that we don't know nothing about that were murdered in the South just from looking at white women, let alone winking at them. But white men can pat out women on the butt, bring them into their offices and their jobs, in their offices, in their little private rooms for special treatments. And we don't even protest, teaches Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad said, you cannot control or protect your woman as long as you are in the white race's false religion called Christianity, insanity. But Mr. Muhammad said, Christianity, this religion of theirs gives you no desire or power to resist them. The only way and place to solve this problem is in the religion of Islam. Islam is the culture of peace, a way of life. Mr. Muhammad says the only way to resolve this problem is in Islam as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not taught by those outside of our culture, but as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That is the way to solve that problem. So teaches the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad said, it is a pleasure to Allah to defend us from our enemies. In the religion of Christianity, the white race has had his worshiping and praying to something that had us worshiping and praying to something that actually did not even exist. Islam will not only elevate your women, but will also give you the power to control and protect them. We protect ours against all their enemies. See? Mr. Muhammad said, Christianity, the white race, has had us worshiping and praying to something that actually did not even exist. And we've been doing that for over 500 years. But Mr. Muhammad also said, Islam will not only elevate our women, but will also give us the power to control and protect them in the righteous manner. We protect ours against all their enemies. Those who fall under the guide of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, particularly the women, they know they are protected by the FOI. And the Constitution, bear with me 1 second. Let me grab this book. The Constitution right here of the Nation of Islam This would garner the protection of not only our women, but our entire nation, the constitution of the Nation of Islam. And yes, the Nation of Islam do has a provisional constitution, Muhammad's Mosque provisional constitution. This constitution guides and protects us, and you should never be afraid to challenge any wrongdoings within our nation if it violates this constitution within our Nation of Islam, which controls and guides our nation, including our women. Mr. Muhammad said, we protect our farms by pulling up our weeds and grass by the roots, by killing animals and birds, and by poisoning the insects that destroy our crops in order that we may produce a good crop. How much more valuable are our women who are our fields through whom we produce our nation? See, the white race does not want us to destroy their race by intermarrying with them. They will even kill you to protect their women. Can you blame them? No. Blame your foolish self for not having enough respect for your own self and your own nation to do likewise. Stop our women from trying to look like them by bleaching, powdering, ironing, and coloring their hair, painting their lips, cheeks, and everywhere, and eyebrows, wearing shorts, going half nude in public places, going swimming with them, and lying on the beaches with men. This is what Mr. Muhammad taught the black man to teach the black woman. He said, stop them from trying to look like them, by bleaching, powdering, ironing, and coloring their hair, painting their lips, cheeks, and eyebrows, wearing shorts, going half nude in public places. You can't say nothing to a black woman today, even some of them that's with us, that do the same thing. And some of them that's with us is off the chain with it. There's no such thing as real eyebrows like these. Real eyebrows. They're painted on. Now, if you paint eyebrows on your face and you in the Nation of Islam as an MGT, then my suggestion would be page 60 of the Message to the Black Man. Just something to study. It's not something to criticize you or critique you or judge you. Ain't nobody going that route. Men sharpen men like steel sharpen steel. So if your little brother can share with you what Mr. Muhammad is teaching us, then inshallah we can humble ourselves enough to just do a little research. Because Mr. Muhammad instructed the black man that we should teach our women to not try and look like them. Why? Because our natural beauty makes our women look like the best thing on the planet. Our natural beauty, if we ever know what that really is. Mr. Muhammad goes on to say the white race does not want us to destroy the, have private pools for your woman and guard them from all men. Stop them from going into bars and taverns and sitting and drinking with men and strangers. Stop them from sitting in those places with anyone. Stop them from using unclean language in public and at home, from smoking and drinking and drug addiction habits. Nothing but Islam will make you a respectable people. We Muslims are your example, living here in your midst. There is no delinquency in Islam. Are you with us to put our people on top of the world? The instructions that the Most Honorable Muhammad has given us on page 59, from 58 to page 61, dealing with our women, the black woman, is divine instructions that was taught to him by Almighty God Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. You could take it or let it alone, but that's reality. So Mr. Muhammad is giving us some sort of guide and instructions on how to defend and protect our women. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us that no woman will submit to a man under any circumstances if he doesn't have God out in the forefront. And if she has a man, I'm just calling a spade, brothers and sisters, that is striving to put God out in the forefront and she doesn't respect him, that means she is not of God. She is an agent of Satan. Satan. Simple and plain. You don't have to like what I'm saying because it's not of myself. It is what Mr. Muhammad, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, has and what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is teaching us today. Under the divine guidance of Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi, the Messiah, the one that was to come, has come, is come in person. And black people, you can think all you want to that you got to die to go to heaven. Bon voyage. Because anybody that you know that ever passed away never came back and tapped you on the shoulder and told you what heaven was like with a smile that you can even recognize. So if you think that you have to die to go to heaven, then you just keep thinking like that. But as far as our women is concerned, we have to do something, family, to protect our future generations, our babies. Because twerking cannot be the only way out for our young black women coming up today. That's because we have a generation of women today that for some apparent reason believe that degenerating themselves is the way to go. Degrading themselves is the way to go. Is to take advantage of the beauty of the physical composition that Almighty God Allah blessed them with is the way to go. So original salute to my dear sister India Arie for standing up and speaking out against what she felt and she knew to be unjust and wrong. And may Allah continue to bless our sister and those who are championing with her and coming along with her, that we come together divinely and run away our enemies from among our field, that we as a people stand a greater chance to be represented and appreciated as a people. Thank you for listening. I leave you as I came before you in the nation. Greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.